Hello, I'm Jean Martin, Senior Partner at Mercer, here to talk about a world where jobs may no longer exist, a world where skills and capabilities are becoming the new currency in workforce transformation. Our work at Mercer shows that in the world of the future of work, jobs and job descriptions could not be more outdated. Now we need to reorient for the first time toward capabilities, towards skills, as the trading ground for development, hiring, retention of staff, engagement, and career mobility. What we've learned from the pandemic in COVID-19 is that agility really matters, resilience matters. And in fact, resilience supports corporate creativity and individual development. So agility is a lot more than a buzzword in the post-pandemic era. And also, cost containment means a lot more than budget management. It means efficiency, resilience when it comes to working with talent in the way that yields the best results. And lastly, current workforce management processes could not be more out of date. They simply can't extend far enough to the new agile efficiencies born of managing people, not just toward an idea of a job, but toward fulfillment of their true potential. What we've talked about at Mercer is that a new world demands new ways of working and presents many workforce challenges. As you can see on the left, the intensifying risk climate, accelerated digitalization, shifting economic interests, new business and work models, and all the demographic challenges that we've been seeing for some time, the aging workforce, Brexit, millennials, have really led to a convergence, only accelerated by COVID-19, toward new cognitive, social, and technical skills required in the workforce, new expectations about purpose, collective and social responsibility, and new realities around work needing to be a lot more flexible and a lot more personalized. And finally, the new importance of connectedness, both digitally in terms of how our businesses operate, but also personally in terms of how employees connect with their managers and leaders to drive their careers forward. So this is blueprinting what we at Mercer have called the new shape of work. What are the emerging challenges we must address? How can we reshape the workforce model to address changes in capacity? How can we develop the skills we need faster for the future at the same time we're asking employees to deliver? And how can we know which skills matter most and leverage them, prioritizing our L&D spend and our career development activities and HR processes for flexible, skill-focused development? Well, the good news is that despite challenges, we also see a lot of opportunity. How to reshape and reskill through disruption is front and center, not only for Chief Human Resources Officers, but also for CEOs in thinking about the future of their organizations. And certain transitions are becoming quite clear. The new world and social order demands a new way of looking at work, at working, and at the workforce. We see four changes evolving. The move from discrete jobs and job descriptions to what we might think of as skill clusters, skills and tangential skills that can be redeployed more flexibly for the ever-changing work needs. Project-based work, as we've talked about it in the early 90s and all the way through to recently, has evolved to become skills cluster-driven project-based work, where we can actually map true capabilities in the moment, especially through digital platforms, to work challenges. Second transition, job-based workforce decisions are giving way to data-led, skills-driven workforce planning. This is exciting because we know, as has been our instinct for years, that there's so much more potential in the organization than we can realize when we box individuals into jobs and job descriptions. With skills as the new currency and new sources of data through HRIS and analytics platforms, we can begin then to plan the workforce in terms of how to map those individual talents to those individual business challenges. Third transition, from job-based career development to skill-fueled career agility. One of the most exciting dawns of a new age born post-pandemic with this new focus on skills at the center is our first agile career architecture, beginning to flex for the first time the ordinance of jobs, the way jobs relate to one another in a much more agile and speedy way to address rapid changes in the business environment. And then finally, the fourth transition is job-structured work and individual evaluations to assignment and gig-defined work and agile performance methods. So when we think about the occurrence over the past several years of more work that is broken into pieces and perhaps optimized in many subparts rather than the full traditional annual cycle, it gives us an opportunity not only to tap the gig marketplace, but also to tap our internal talent in new ways, to realize the hidden gems and the individuals who can come in an agile way for even a few hours or a few days to lead to a better performance result in the work we're doing. And in terms of performance management, it's been about 5 years since the realization that agile feedback drives higher levels of human performance. Now, with a skills-based focus, we can provide that feedback with the specific target aim of developing the skills assets within the organization in a way that makes all the work faster and easier with better outcomes over time. So this new world and social order really demands a whole new approach. And what's exciting for us at Mercer is that the pandemic really proved to all of us that we can adapt. But what we need to do now is to adapt with intention. 56% of our companies at Mercer surveyed are reinventing for flexibility as a core part of their transformation plans. And they're focusing particularly on the top 5 skills that matter most post-COVID: collaboration skills, prioritization skills, growth mindset, digital dexterity, and being much more empathetic and inclusive. We've talked for some time about the need to win with empathy, and that the human-led, technology-enabled organization has a distinct advantage in the global economy. Well, these 5 skills track very well with that, and we can see why so many companies are prioritizing their development post-COVID. So the first intention we need to embrace is developing the right skills for right now. And what will it take to get there? How will we build those skills internally or source them for the urgent needs of the enterprise? Well, the second capability at an organization level is the journey from jobs to skills. As you can see in this graphical representation, there really is a functional maturity scale when it comes to thinking about career proposition flexibility in the shape of work. The traditional job architecture was limited lateral moves, certification skills, usually the only skills recognized, a jobs focus, and grades, traditional performance management. But now, over the past 10 years, we've seen an evolution toward more cross-functional career pathing, people and generational differences expressing the preference for flexible moves, multiple careers within the organization or within a lifetime. So this means skills become more linked to role, more identified, more broadly, and identified as a way to enable lateral movement, the career lattice that was originated 10 years ago. So with those broad-banded feedback approaches, we can then start to build a more of a generalist profile in the workplace that gives us flexibility. So that's the evolving method. But if we transition now to the leading stage of functional maturity in this area, We see a focus on career experience at the center, not just paths, but experience, the energizing, invigorating experience of working for an organization. And when we bring a skills framework to that, to the center, we can create skills aligned roles that then track well with career progression as skills are developed and people move up in level in the organization. This is very much where most companies are starting to probe. How can I begin to create a much more exciting employment value proposition by offering my employees and my new hires and the labor market a chance for an extremely exciting skills experience and a path not driven in a linear sense, but driven in a sense towards self-realization for every employee. And that takes us to the future. When we think about talent marketplaces and what they could do, both internally and externally, they could, just as the stock market was able to perfect when data was made available in more of a micro unit that allowed for flexibility in selling, trading, buying, we could see the same future for skills and talent, where the skills-based marketplace, the talent marketplace, optimizes to allow individuals to path into exact right roles, responsibilities at exact right times. And that'll be based on skills clusters, assignment structures, a much more flat sense of performance management that leverages the true talents and newly acquired skills in many cases of people in our organization and outside in the labor market. So we're very excited by what you see on the far right, that as we shift to more flexible definitions of work, we're going to see an increasing focus on personalization, allowing for all people to actually not only just fulfill a job role or even fulfill a career, but to fulfill themselves. So how are companies getting after this? This slide makes clear the challenges in front of us. Companies are focusing on questions like, how can I identify the most critical skills? How can I expand my talent and learning ecosystem? How can I gather information on the current skills in my workforce? But they're also struggling. They're trying to take a more targeted approach in thinking about reskilling. How do we prioritize which skills when? How do we focus into the workforce in an equitable way, in a diverse and inclusive way? They're also exploring ways to make movement easier around the organization. How can we syndicate a support mechanism that allows people to transition from role to role, job to job, project to project, challenge to challenge in a way that is supported and consistent and hopefully market leading in terms of attracting the best talent out there? And mentoring. One of the common themes in all organizations now with a skills focus is as skills become the new currency, we need to go back to reinforcing individual mentor-mentee relationships, helping mentors elbow to elbow develop skills in the organization and helping mentees shadow the talent, the expertise, and the great work styles of a lot of top leaders. So new mentoring is going to be key to enabling an organic development of these new, most critical skills. As you can see, 92% believe skilling is their focus. Only 8% of organizations said reskilling is not a focus. So this is the theme for at least the next 3 to 5 years. How will companies capitalize on the skills resident in their workforce? And lastly, as we carry on to thinking about the next stage of all of this work, we need to ask ourselves, what new thinking should we evolve? What new thinking should we give up? What have we lost? And what can we build? This conversation of new thinking leading to new behaviors and new outcomes for organizations is taking up a lot of very important time in the C-suite today. In fact, this conversation is the most prevalent conversation for us with CEOs and organizational leaders across sectors. What are the new behaviors, thinking, and outcomes I'm really trying to achieve in my organization? Mercer believes every company will answer this uniquely, and that it's critical to make this the front stage of your action plan. But once that thinking behavior outcomes link is defined, it's then possible to get on to the vision. The talent practices are there. The technologies, for the first time, are available, facilitating talent sharing across the organization to build teams with fungible skill sets, enabling the identification of strategic skills gaps, and then precise workforce planning to close those gaps. Helping organizations see whether buy, build, borrow, or even boomerang, the latest, hiring back our alumni, is the right answer when we come to closing these needed skills gaps. High-quality succession slates and informed decisions on restructuring and redeployment of talent, and then ensuring that our organizations are market competitive for the top talent in the marketplace. These are all the things that we're focused on with our clients at Mercer for good reason, because the checklist of activities allows us to realize the opportunity is now. Companies are moving fast to seize the opportunity to move to skills-based talent practices. The pandemic accelerated that concept. It was already picking up steam, but now it's front and center. Remote work and our own adaptability has taught us that we can make this transition and make it permanently. New products have also emerged that offer skills data sources much more widely. That helps us to get under the consistent fabric inside our employees and inside their past experiences in a much more real-time way, so we can find the exact right talent for that exact right need. And then technology that personalizes, advances in AI, UI, UX are all helping individual employees and managers and line leaders to begin to conceive of a new kind of day-to-day work experience grounded on mapping their skills actively to work challenges. Finally, the need for the integrated talent and business processes is now supported by HCM clients with insight and optimization capabilities with the right level of functionality. The evolution in HR information systems, as well as analytics, data, AI-powered tools and technologies, makes this possible for the very first time. So let's get after it. We'd like to suggest from our standpoint at Mercer that getting started on developing your company's skills edge, the leading competitive tip of the spear, consistent method for managing your skills, really consists of 6 steps. First, fuel the workforce planning and human capital analytics with the data you need on the value of skills, both skills inside the company and outside the company. Leverage AI-driven technology to strengthen the quality of the talent match and automate the parts of the profiling process. Then precisely targeting reskilling, upskilling, and redeployment. One of our clients refers to it as laser strike development. It is more precise, more targeted, and hopefully much more effective. Step 4, invest in critical skills. We talked about some of the emerging need for agility, digital dexterity, and other skills of the future. Those skills will continue to evolve, so we will need not only to develop them, but to pay for those skills, maintaining a competitive edge both by hiring at the right level with the right reward, and also by rewarding our internal talent for boosting their own skill profile. Democratizing opportunity for skill development. Through open access platforms and more intelligent career path technology, we're able now to create much more diverse talent pipelines for every assignment, and also to create much more of a democratized or inclusive experience around development opportunities. Remember the day when you only the partners got to go to Harvard Business School for classes? That won't be the case anymore. Those schools will be rejiggering to focus more on laser strike development, and people all over the organization will make development part of their daily activities. And then finally, creating that culture of lifelong learning by looking at skills from a culture perspective and a system perspective. We see as people live longer, and for many of us, we could have multiple careers in our lifetime. There's nothing that prohibits us from continuing to pivot and develop our skill set through lifelong learning. Now the technology is there, and there's a strong reason for corporations and organizations to invest in providing and being that platform for lifelong learning for every employee. We know that development opportunities are the number 2 reason, after compensation, that individuals come to join a company and also stay at a company. So we must invest in that, not just development for a specific purpose or specific cycle, but actually development for a lifetime. So we'll close out there with the thought of welcome to brighter. At Mercer, we think of this era post-pandemic as a much brighter era, an era filled with challenges, but also with opportunities. And one of those is truly the ability to reshape our thinking around employee management from jobs as the currency to skills and capabilities as the currency. My young 9-year-old son recently came to me and said, "Mom, what should I be when I grow up?" And I was reflecting that that's exactly the question every person should be able to ask themselves. Not what job should I have or what job should I hold, but rather, what should I be? How should I fulfill my full potential across my talent and skill profile? And that gets very exciting, not just for organizations or even business and the economy. It gets exciting for society as we think about all of the untapped capabilities that can now be fully harnessed and developed. We look forward to traveling with you on this journey, and thanks so much for sharing in this time today.